It's not working. Do it again. Come on in, come on in. How's everybody doing tonight? Give people a minute to come in before we start. One more time. Come on in, come on in. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Come on in. How's everybody doing? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and get started. For those that are new to the show, this show came about, the Convo with B-Mac came about late August, early September. I was dealing with my own personal issues, and I began to think about, and there got to be other people out there that are struggling with, various personal issues, mental health issues, what have you. But there's not an outlet, there wasn't a platform for people to discuss them. I've never considered myself a mental health advocate until I started experiencing my own personal trials, my own personal struggles. And with that, I began to realize that there is a need in the minority community for us to discuss these issues because it is so taboo. And in order for us to get past them and to make people understand, or to help people understand that, this is a part of life, we have to create that dialogue and we have to break that stigma. So I took it upon myself at the behest of first God told me in so many words, hey, you need to do this. And then secondly, I had a friend of mine I was talking to about it, and I was immediately like, I'm not qualified. And she was like, you're qualified based on what you're going through. You're living it. And I took that as confirmation of what God had already said to do it. So I chose to be obedient. And here we are. Let's see. I've lost count of the number of episodes that we've done this far. So we're blessed to be doing it since roughly about September. And here we are, end of January, going into February. So we're blessed to be here and putting out positive content. And I've always said, if it helps one person, I've done my job. And tonight, I'm fortunate to have Brother Rasheed Hayes. I noticed him on social media, and another friend of mine was friends with him and was able to put me in contact with him. And he's doing a lot of positive things. He's a wealth of information and knowledge. I'm going to bring him in now, introduce him, and we're going to start our conversation.
Hey, how you doing, brother?
I'm good, bro. How about yourself?
Doing pretty well.
Yeah. Well, again, I can't thank you enough for coming on. And I was just telling the audience about, I first came across you on social media and some of the positive things that you were doing. And we had a mutual friend, and unbeknownst to me, and because they were like, yeah, I know him. And I was like, okay, well, reach out to him and let him know that, hey, I would like to work with him. And so that worked out. If you would just give the audience just a little of your background.
All right. So, hello, everyone. My name is Rasheed Hayes. I am a licensed master's level social worker. I'm also a motivational speaker. It's one of those things where I wear many hats, and in return, my goal is to truly help any individual, whether they look like me, whether they don't. I just want to help. So that's what my whole mission is: turning pain into purpose. And so that's why I do the things I do, because I have my own experiences, and so I'm excited to be here on this show just to have this dialogue and have this conversation.
Mm-hmm. Awesome, awesome. And it's 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 amazing how our own journey can turn into, like you said, turning pain into purpose. It's amazing how your pain can be that purpose and to help someone else. Because we don't necessarily realize that what we're going through, and that struggle for us could be that blessing for someone else, because we have a message for them.
Right.
You know, it took me a while to understand that, because I was in when I the first time I ever heard someone tell me that, I was like, man, are you crazy? Uh, Erica says, hey Rashad, she said, I'm so excited you're here.
What's up, Erica?
Um, but it's really amazing that a trial or tribulation could be a blessing to someone else down the road.
Right.
Um, and tonight's topic, which is, I must say, I have to put this out here: trigger warning for any of those that may struggle or have dealt with anyone who's attempted suicide, or have talked about it. That is going to be the topic for tonight. I phrased it in a manner: when surviving life's burdens for a reason. Um, you've probably had far more dealings with than I ever will, when people just feel like life is just too heavy for them. It's just
Right.
it's gotten, they so much has happened, and where they just feel like they can't go another step. And here recently, I know in the news, we've seen so many celebrities, uh, children at fairly young ages, committed suicide. I think what was it last week? A couple of weeks ago, Regina King's son.
Yeah. I think it was what, 26 years
Yeah,
old?
yeah. And I forget, there was another celebrity not too long ago whose son that kid was fairly young. And my first question to you would probably be, what is it that people that seemingly have it all together, or have had it the best in life, make them feel like they still have no hope?
So that's a good question. I think I first want to say is that materials don't mean your life is going well. I think
Hmm.
it's just how we process things and how we express it. For example, if I'm going through something, but if I feel like I can't talk to nobody, I'm just
Hmm.
gonna bottle it in, right? And the more I keep bottling things in, eventually it's gonna be that one thing that triggers me, and it's
Hmm.
almost like a bomb that explodes. And so I
Right.
think it's one of those things of not truly being able to have those deep conversations. I
Hmm.
can honestly say that at a young age of 28,
Hmm.
I don't know if I can go to my friends and say, hey, I'm feeling suicidal. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's just like,
Hmm.
because society tells us to be so strong, but then what happens when you feel like you have nobody else to turn to?
Right.
You feel like you're out of gas, and you're almost like, why am I even doing this? And so I think
Hmm.
that's why a lot of people end up committing suicide. I think of his name, Robin Williams.
Hmm.
He was a wealthy actor, and he was big in the game, and he ended up losing his life to suicide. And this it just goes to show money doesn't save everything, materials
Right.
doesn't save anything. Your mental health matters.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. I've often said, like while doing the show, and the more I've learned about it, men especially, because society has taught us a what I would call a toxic male masculinity. Hold on, before I go into that, Selena says former 2019 Miss USA Chelsea Chris committed suicide this morning. Oh wow.
Yeah,
Um,
she jumped off of I think it was like 40 floors. She jumped off her apartment building.
wow. Um, and Miss Clark, Sharita Clark says, "Okay, little bro. Uh, thank y'all for tuning in." And it's amazing, people that appear to have it all together. Um, that are doing these type things. And David Goggins, I don't know how familiar you are with him, but one of the favorite things that I've heard him say, he said, "Man, we're all effed up." He said, "Some people just hide it better than others."
Right, right,
you know, and and the first time I heard it, I was like, you know what? You're right. And we get so caught up in society of trying to fit in and appear like we have it all together. And unfortunately, some of us cares too much about what other people think or perceive.
right.
And when we become so heavy on what everybody else thinks of us, we begin to take a lesser approach or thought process of ourselves, less a value of ourselves. What you think?
You know, it's almost like we stop living our lives and we try to
Hmm.
live the next person's lives, right? We try to live under their expectations. And
Right.
so it puts us in this box. It's almost like, man, I'm trying to please you, but that's not good enough. What more can I do? You know,
Right.
instead of being able to say, you know what, let me just do what's best for me. You know, let
Hmm.
me do what makes me happy. And I think it's that fear of, honestly, I hate to say it like this, but I think it's that fear of being alone and
Hmm.
being an outcast that some
Hmm.
people whether water themselves down and put themselves in the box to fit in. And
Hmm.
then the problem is you don't have the tools to fit in. You were
Hmm.
meant to be something special. You know, you
Right.
was meant to be something better, but now here you are trying to, you know, I don't want to say the word dummy yourself down, but water yourself down to fit in with somebody else that don't
Hmm.
y'all ain't even compatible.
Right.
Or you know, you stressing yourself out over something that society says when at the end of the day, is society paying your bills? you know,
Right.
I tell people, you know, at the end of the day, if when society comes in and put food on my plate directly, that's when I'll
Right.
start listening to what society says. Until then, I got to do what's best for me and my family.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Because if we get so caught up in what everybody else is doing, what they try to dictate to us, we can, like I said, we can never truly live. You know,
Right.
we are stuck trying to live out an image that someone else has said that it's supposed to be. Um, and to back up a little bit, I think I got a little sidetracked with the comments. Um, Men, yeah, and especially minority men, as it relates to suicide, my theory is part of it is because we are always taught we're not supposed to feel. We're supposed to compartmentalize our emotions, and then when we get to being adults, a lot of us are truly emotional wrecks on the inside because we don't know how to deal with any emotion whatsoever. It's
Right.
it's anger, frustration, and we don't feel like anyone else or the women in our lives care because we don't know how to talk to them about it and say, "Hey, look, I'm broken, XYZ."
And I think to add to that, it's almost like too, as a man, sometimes we try to keep that appearance as a man that we don't
Hmm.
want to be looked at like less than. Oh,
Hmm.
he's not a man because he's crying right now. Oh, he's
Right.
not a man because you know he can't he's expressing himself. That ain't manly. Like that's the kind of imagery that we hear in the audio
Mhm.
that we hear on a regular basis. And so
Right.
it's almost like to me, being able to express your emotions, that's gangster to me. That's manly to me. You know, to be able
Exactly.
to say, "Hey, I'm crying right now," and not care about whoever is
Hmm.
watching you. You know, I
Right.
think that's what we have to, as men, get to a better job at doing. You know, and
Right.
I'll be honest, I'm guilty myself. You know, I recently just got to that point of being able to express my emotions. Because
Hmm.
growing up, I was taught, man, throw some dirt on it, you'll be all right. Man, suck it up, boys, don't cry.
Right.
You know, and
Right.
so I began to, you know, like you said, put it in a little box in my head. Like, you know what? I can't cry. No matter how bad it hurt, I'm not gonna say
Hmm.
anything. And so I
Right.
found myself in the past, you know, trying to drink away the pain, you know, trying
Hmm.
to do all these things and try to not feel anything. But in
Hmm.
actuality, it wasn't until I started facing it that I realized that's the best way to heal.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And with that, I feel like because the suicide rate, I can't remember quite the stat, but the suicide rate for men is like 3 times higher than it is of women,
Right.
and I feel like that's part of because you've got men that they allow to bottle up for so long, and they never know how to truly deal with what is going on the inside, whatever it may be. And they feel like they come on an island because now I've got all this going on that I don't know how to express, and I don't have anyone to talk to about it.
Right.
And once you feel like that for so long, it begins to tear away at your psyche. This is all the way I perceive it based on what I've seen and read. And at a certain point, you start to think I'm better off not being here,
Right.
and and that is the farthest thing from the truth. You know, because most people don't realize. Yes, you may think that you're doing what's best, but you're actually leaving everybody that loves you in a far worse condition because they have so many questions.
Right.
And all they and each one of them, I dare will say, if he or she had just said, I need someone to talk to. I need to know that someone loves me. People would be lining up to hug them and tell them how much they love them.
Right. You definitely got a good point there, but I also want to say, what experience stops the individual for thinking that somebody loves them, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like, and I think that's an important thing we have to remember, because it's one thing to say, yeah, all you had to do, after a situation happened, people say, oh, all they had to do was cry out to me, but I
Mm-hmm.
also like to put it on that group, that circle.
Mm-hmm.
Did you not see the signs?
Mm-hmm.
Did you open it up? Did you ever say, hey, you have a safe place to talk with me? Like, hey, my door is open if you ever need to talk. Because I'm also a cancer patient. I battle with cancer. I recently just finished treatment, but I can
Mm-hmm.
honestly say, you know, when people see my posts, they see me being motivational, and they
Right.
think, oh, he got it all together. But it's
Right.
not too many people that call me and say, hey, how are you really feeling? Hey, are
Right.
you really feeling okay? So
Mm-hmm.
imagine if I'm trying to keep this facade that everything is motivational and good, but
Mm-hmm.
that person is not telling me that it's okay for me to talk to them. What I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to end up doing is thinking, all right, nobody cares, so let me handle what I got to handle.
Right.
Now, luckily, I'm blessed not to have that mindset, but I can easily see how people get to that point of thinking I'm all
Mm-hmm.
alone. So
Right.
this is the best thing I can do. This is my only option.
Understood. Understood. Now, you said something just a second ago, and you said, did they not see the signs? I guess so. That brings me to my question. What could be some of the warning signs that someone might be considering suicide?
I know for me, the number one sign is that loss of hope.
Uh huh.
That idea that it's not going to get better. That idea that I have exhausted all of my resources, so I don't really know what else to do.
Mm-hmm.
Another sign is like giving away of prized possessions. Like, if your boy, your homegirl had this TV for 15 years and they love it to death, and they just say, "Hey, come let me give this to you." It's one of those things of being able to pay attention to. To say,
Mm-hmm.
"Hey, is everything okay?" Like, I know
Right.
you love that TV. Like, hey, let's talk about it. What's going on? And so again, it's the loss of hope, giving away prized possessions, and
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, as of lately, it's been, I call it another dynamic, because a lot of people have been committing suicide, and it catches everybody off guard,
Uh huh.
with not being able to know, so I think it's really just being able to make a person feel comfortable enough to be able to let that guard down, because
Mm-hmm.
we all have a guard up one way or
Mm-hmm.
another. Like, the people we are at home, it's not going to be the same individuals we are at work. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? When we leave work and we come home, if we don't have that person that we can talk about our stresses at work, if we
Mm-hmm.
keep going back and it keeps piling up, eventually, you know, you feel like you don't have any other options. And
Right.
so I think, again, the main two things is just, like I said, that loss of hope, that loss that things are not going to get better. And I think that's what, like, people like you and I, we're on our journey to tell people, like, hey, it gets better. Like, I can
Mm-hmm.
honestly say, I know I am grateful for every negative thing I went through in life, because now I
Mm-hmm.
can stand here and say, hey, I got some scars now. I've been through
Mm-hmm.
some wars, but I'm still
Right.
here.
Right. Exactly. Let's see. Veronica says daily affirmations to self extremely important, and more important is an attitude of gratitude.
Yes.
And and that builds on what you're saying. Hey, listen, I've been through some battles, I've been through some wars, but I am thankful that I'm still standing. And
Right.
just like I'm still standing, because I'm no special person. You can do it too. You just have to be
Right.
willing to fight and weather the storm. You know, it's and I know everybody's situation is different. Everybody's situation is different. But there are people out here that care about each and every person immensely. I did an interview a couple of weeks back. One of my friends and one of my frat brothers and good friends in Montgomery, he did a show. He has a TV show, and he asked me, he's like, "Hey man, if there's somebody right now that was feeling like they were, they couldn't go on, what would I say to him?" And I was like, "Ooh," I'm like, I'm not the professional, but I put my best foot forward, and I told him, I said, "Listen, I don't know you, but I promise you that I love you, and there are other people that love you, and I want to see you succeed. You can do this.
Right.
You can do it. I've been through some storms. You going through storms. You know, I made it, and all I can. My best way of doing it is keep putting one foot in front of the other. Don't worry about tomorrow. Let's just get through the day,
Right.
one day at a time." So, and that's the really the biggest message, because I think we overwhelm ourselves sometimes.
Yes. Yes. You made me think of one of my favorite quotes. It says, "It is in the darkest skies that we see the brightest stars."
Mm,
And again, it is in the darkest skies we see the brightest stars. So if you're listening right now, if you're going through something, that's that one time for you to shine. That
mm-hmm.
one time to say, you know what, no matter what I'm going through, I'm still here. I'm still
Right.
smiling. I'm gonna keep pushing. And I think that
Mm,
right there, that mentality, and like the comments you just said, that daily affirmation. I talk
mm-hmm.
to myself on a regular.
Mm-hmm.
Some you may think I'm crazy, but I'm gonna talk to me.
Right.
Because
Right.
at the end of the day, I know if I'm in this fight, I got to be my own corner man sometimes too, because I
Mm-hmm.
know sometimes I may not be able to tell everybody exactly what I'm going through because I may not know how to express it yet. So I got
Right.
to give myself enough time to have that endurance. Then when I finally get it, I can say, hey, talk to my wife. Hey, babe, look, this is what I'm going through. Hey, this is what I'm experiencing. And
Mm-hmm.
now we can heal from it collectively, and
Right.
I think that's the beauty of being able to know that you're surrounding yourself around people that
Mm-hmm.
make you feel like you can talk about anything. And if you don't
Mm-hmm.
have those individuals, being able to reach out to a therapist, being able to reach out to a mental health advocate, being able to
Right.
feed your mind with positivity, because that's
Mm-hmm.
that's a whole nother thing right there. You are
Right.
what you eat. You are what you eat, and your mind is what you consume. So if you're
Mhm.
around negativity, if you're constantly hearing that, eventually you're gonna think negative.
Right. Right. Exactly. Now we're gonna have to revisit that particular statement, because I did a show a while back about what you consume, meaning like music and all that type stuff. So we're gonna
Right.
come back to that particular topic. But next one, what could someone who's a family member or friend, what could someone do if they think someone's suicidal?
So I think the one thing, well, there's suicide is a deep conversation that most people don't like to have. And
Hmm.
like you said earlier, it's taboo. But it's okay to ask that question. Hey, are you feeling suicidal? Hey, let's talk about it. Hey, what's going on? And if you feel like you're not equipped, hey, listen, I noticed some changes, and I just want to let you know I see you. And if we got to go to therapy together, I go with you. And it's
Hmm.
just being able to do those things. But it's almost like that is the time that people need you the most.
Hmm.
Imagine being caught in the rain, right? And you in the middle of the storm with no umbrella. If
Hmm.
I see you and I know you're going through something, I'm running with my umbrella. Hey, brother, you good? Hey, you need this? Now
Hmm.
I'm giving you that option, and I'm actually showing you that you're not alone. And then
Hmm.
now, whether we got to lock arms and we going hand by hand and we under the same umbrella till we get you to safety,
Hmm.
that's what we do. It's all about reminding our people that we got your back.
Right.
That no matter what, I'm here. I don't have to know you, but I'm still gonna be here for you.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And that brings me to the next one up, because I came up with a couple of different questions to kind of spark our conversation, and the next one will be is because my frat brother Marcel Walker just had it. What's going on, Scoop? Um, what link, if any, would be between mental health and suicide? Is there just a true established link, or is that just speculation?
So I mean, it's definitely a link. It's one of those. I think suicide and mental health is almost like peanut butter and jelly. An individual that is aware of their mental health
Hmm.
is less prone to commit suicide, right? So if I know what's going on in my mind, if I know what I'm battling, I
Hmm.
know how to go get help. I think sometimes, those individuals that feel like suicide is their only option
Right.
may feel like, they don't have all the resources to get the help that they need,
Hmm.
that they don't feel like nobody cares enough. So I think, especially in our community, I mean, I hate
Hmm.
to say this, but we don't talk about therapy enough in our community, you know? And that's why me personally, although I had the credentials to be a therapist, I choose to be a speaker. I choose to be a coach because people, when they hear me talk, they're like, oh man, I like listening to him.
Uh-huh.
And then it's like I become a bridge. So if I need to link you to a therapist, or if I need to, whatever the case may be, I can let you know, like, hey, we just had a whole conversation and you just told me about all your problems. I'm so proud of you. That's what therapy gonna be like. It's
Hmm.
almost like being able to adjust. I think
Right.
in today's society, like we're waiting on society to adjust to us. Nah, we got to be able to adjust to society. So like
Hmm.
I gotta be able to come to you and be like, hey, look, I'm gonna bring this to you this way. You say
Hmm.
you speak Spanish, hola como estás? Like I'm coming to you on that level where you
Okay.
can you can understand and we move together. You know what I'm saying? And so
Hmm.
that's really why I said it's truly a link and it goes hand in hand. But
Hmm.
I think it starts with us being aware of what's really going on in our lives.
Hmm. Which again, and that, whoa, let's see, Veronica said, I save men from suicide solely by telling them to speak out loud, those things that they are grateful and thankful for, all the way down to the soap they bathe with. Also tell them, what if God is saying, looking down, saying, I brought you through this, around this point, and to have the audacity to complain, to even speak that you're alone. Then I tell them, rest and let God move. And that's a lot, but I definitely understand where she's coming from. Helping everybody to reframe how they think, I think,
Right,
is the basis, because we all get in our space of where it's a woe is me. And I mean by that is, everything's going wrong for me. I don't have anybody, uh, you know, this, that, and the third. And we get inside our own head so that we pretty much convince ourselves that our lives are hopeless when in fact, we have it far better than we realize.
right,
And by taking that attitude of gratitude, you shift your whole thought process just by simply being grateful for what those things that you do have, whether it's a lot or a little.
right.
Uh, and I really think that's the start to helping those that are in that position of considering it. That's a start to helping them to say to shift their focus. Because if I'm grateful for being able just to come on here and speak with you about this, because everybody doesn't have an opportunity to. If I'm
Right,
grateful that the Lord blessed me to wake up to see today, I'm grateful that I had clothes to put on. I'm grateful that I could go to my refrigerator and make me a sandwich. Just the
right.
simplest of things, because there's somebody that doesn't have that, you know, and just being appreciative for everything that we've been blessed with. And gratitude is definitely, I think, is a major component of shifting that dynamic.
And you're absolutely right. You even make me think about a time where when I first got my cancer diagnosis, it was back in
Hmm.
2016. And
Hmm.
before I was got diagnosed with cancer, I was a football player.
Okay.
I mean, I was, man, I had a six pack on top of six pack. You couldn't tell me nothing. Like I just walk in the gym like I'm hip.
Right.
But once I started going through chemotherapy, what I saw was not the same person I thought they wasn't the same person I saw in the mirror. Like I
Mhm.
started seeing my hair fall out. I saw
Uh-huh.
my eyebrows go away. I started losing weight, and it was a moment in my life where I was suicidal. But then I had to think to myself, you know what? I'm gonna use this differently. I know I'm not the only one diagnosed with cancer, but I can be the one that uses my story to help everybody else.
Mm.
And so that was my personal mission. And so from 2016 to where I am now, that has literally been my drive to say, you know what?
Mhm.
Although I'm dealing with my own storms, I
Hmm.
can be the person that save everybody because to me, we do too much sympathy and not enough empathy. And what
Mm.
I mean by that is oh, brother, I feel sorry for you, man. I'm gonna pray for you. I hope it gets better. Instead of jumping in and down in that place and being able to say, hey, I may not can relate to that, but I remember a time where I was going through something, and this is how I got through it. See, me
Hmm.
personally, I deal with empathy. I want to know what you've been through because if I know what you've been through, then I feel more encouraged to know that I can get through it myself.
Hmm.
And so that's just the type of love I try to give out to everybody else with everything I do.
Right. And I think it's really valuable to, being able to share part of yourself with someone, you know, so it's like, okay, now I've got some skin in this game. I'm not
Yes.
talking to you from here. I'm going to,
Yes.
if you're down in the dirt, guess what? I'm gonna roll up my sleeves and I'm gonna get down in the dirt with you because I want you to know that I'm there with you. I may not have all the answers, but I'm gonna roll with you until we figure it out.
Right.
And that, I feel like can help people over that hump. And you talked about something earlier. You mentioned therapy and our community, the minority community, and men in general, whether a minority community or not, they are really really almost afraid of therapy. Let's see. Veronica says yes. She said, "I don't reach my hand into a hole to lift them up." She said, "I crawl down in the hole with you, and then we climb back up behind on the ladder." And I thank you, Veronica, for that because that is probably the best way to phrase that because
Yes.
people are more receptive to, I feel like, to someone who's willing to get down there with them versus somebody who's willing to, look down and talk to you in the nicest manner possible. Hey, I'm here for you, versus getting down there and embracing them and saying, hey, listen, I'm gonna sit down here with you as long as I need to until you ready to climb up.
Right.
Yeah, we can climb up that ladder together. Um,
To add some contents behind that, you know why that's so special? Because once you go through one problem, it's not a promise that you will never have problems again. So if I
mhm,
teach you how to get out of that hole the first time, you
mhm,
now realize the power that you have.
mhm,
Now you like, hey, I know I've been through that before, but I got out of it, so I know what I need to do,
right.
and it gives you a little bit more. It gives you a little bit more autonomy behind it. Like you got a little swagger about yourself.
Mhm,
Like you almost like, man, I ain't even worried about it. Like I never forget. Like even when I initially started going through cancer, I was dealing with that. Then I got my car. I had a car repossessed. Then I
mhm,
became homeless. So I'm like one after another. Like I was getting hit. But then it was just like, you know what? I'm not even tripping because I made it through this. Let me just keep pushing. And then
mhm,
before you know it, now you become resilient. Now you
right.
become the poster child for resilient. And everybody's like, man, I don't know how you do it. You so strong. But it's like you understand how to get through it now. Like
Mhm,
you don't have to question how to tie your shoe. You know how to
right.
tie your shoe. You've been doing it for so long now, you don't
Mhm,
even stress it no more. Oh, my shoes
right.
untied, let me tie it. But when you
Mhm,
first started, you like, man, what is this? I gotta do the bunny ears and I gotta go loop the hoop. What is this? But when you finally got the hang of it, you
right.
took off.
Right. Right. Exactly. Once you gain that confidence from weathering those storms, they're not as scary anymore.
Right,
That you're like, man, dang, that that sucked. But now when the next one comes, you're like, man, whew, you grit your teeth a little bit. You be like, all right, let's do this.
right,
You know, because we know if we survive one, we can survive the next one. You know, um, God didn't bring us this far to leave us. He got us
right,
through those seven storms before. This one right here is just gonna be nothing but, you know. So, and those are the things that we have to do. And I will say, even with that, we still have to surround ourselves with the right people,
yes,
and we have to communicate. Communication is I will say that's one of the things that I know men really struggle with.
right,
Um, Women, some of them not as much, but men struggle with communicating what's going on. And when we try to communicate and we don't do it effectively, we tend to get upset with those that we try to communicate with because we're like, hey, I said this was going on. but it wasn't in a manner that someone could actually relate.
Right.
And it requires patience on both ends. Patience with those that we surround ourselves with, and patience with ourselves. To understand that, hey, listen, all this is a process, and we have to be we have to understand that we're a work in progress from now until we go home.
Right.
Um, let's see here. But as it relates to therapy, I tell people on the show all the time, I have a therapist, and I'm open about that for one reason. It's because I need everybody to understand that there's absolutely nothing wrong with it.
Right.
Um, it is more or less a conversation and a dialogue, and helping you to organize your thoughts and how and your emotions and your feelings. You know, for those that don't know that, okay, what you feel is valid. And because you may not have anybody around you to tell you that,
Right.
and and God forbid you have a narcissist that you're involved with. It don't That's only gonna compound it. So you need to understand that your feelings are valid. Let's see. Veronica says communication is equal understanding of perception, reception, and internal triggers. There must be patience and respect.
That's deep. I like that.
That
You
is
know,
deep.
and I tell people, if communication is the key, comprehension is the lock. See,
Mm,
a key without a lock, what's the point of having that key? So it's like you got to be able to know that communication has many facets that
hmm
that go to it. So that's a deep quote, though. I like that. I like that mindset that she says.
Yes,
That was perfect.
exactly. Veronica, look, you gonna be on the show. I'm gonna have to get you on the show too, because you dropping some truths, and so I will be talking to you later, Veronica. Just FYI, we went to Talladega College together. Veronica's great people, but there are just so many different aspects to how you get to the point of what. Let's see what she gave me a thumbs up. There's so many different aspects to you know someone getting to the point of wanting to commit suicide, because there's so many things that lead up to it. Because it's not a just boom, I wake up one day and that's what I want to do.
Right.
Whether it's a relationship, whether it's family problems, um, or it could be something that's been going on for years with someone who, from their childhood, they've had baggage and they've just carried it
Right.
with them for years, and they have refused. Well, I won't refused, or just haven't got the strength to try to begin to peel back those layers to start trying to work on those things.
Right.
And I feel like there's just so many different. There's no one reason that someone says I can't do this anymore.
Right.
But I guess, but the one thing I would say is this: there are more reasons than anybody can count on one hand why you shouldn't do it.
Hey. Yes.
You know, I'm kind of I kind of get choked up talking about this type of stuff, because it's there it's a real life topic that people are going through every day.
Yes.
And I'm like, you, like there's so much that we want to do, but we're limited in our span of control or reach.
Right.
And so we just have to kind of use our platforms in the best manner possible, um, to do so. So what I'm going to do is what my frat brother did to me. Uh, if there was somebody watching this right now and they were contemplating committing suicide, what would you tell them?
So the first thing I would say is that you matter. Your story matters. You're the author. And although things may not be looking the way you want it right now, if you give up today, you will never know how your story plays out. And so I would encourage you to just keep writing, just keep living. It's almost like, I would say, if you're digging for gold, you would never know when you're gonna strike, right? But it's when you keep going. Now
Mm-hmm.
imagine if you stopped and all you was one strike away from hitting gold. And
Mm-hmm.
so I want to tell you that things are going to change for you, but
Mm-hmm.
it's going to start with your mentality and mindset. I'll
Mm-hmm.
remind you, hey, whenever you're ready to go deeper into the root of the problem, what's stopping you, let's talk about it. And then together we can go to therapy. Together I can be that person that can be that bridge for you. And so that's what I would tell someone that, hey, I see you. I've
Mm-hmm.
been there before. I'm not just telling you what I studied in books. I'm not telling you what I saw online. I've been there. I've been in that mindset. And so, not saying that my mindset is correct now or what is right now, but what I can do is help you be that person that changes for the better.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Awesome. That is, let's see. Veronica says, she said her son is a freshman in college. She said, I feel he needs to see a therapist for his mental health, just as he works out for his physical health. Um, he said he doesn't want a female, which is fine, but he doesn't want to see anyone older because he feels they can't relate. Any suggestions? I'll let you go first, Rashad.
So I know a nonprofit organization that I work heavily with is Brother Let's Talk.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, the reason why I bring Brother Let's Talk up is that they offer 4 free therapy sessions, right? And the reason why I want to acknowledge them because it would allow him the chance to see what's best for him and to give him a chance to get his feet in the water. Because what we don't want to do is send him straight to a therapist and then he's like, oh, that's not going to work. So being able to have that person to talk to, and what I can do is I can give the information to B Mac and I can have him send it to you. So then that way you will be able to have that contact information to reach out as well. So that's me personally, that's what I would recommend.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. I'm not familiar with that organization, but that definitely sounds like an awesome way to kind of ease him into it. Um, and someone just him having a conversation with, and
Right.
that just because the moment that he feels, he just builds up his comfort level. And that's not the first person I've heard that for one they don't want to talk to someone of the opposite sex, or if they feel like someone who's older can't relate. But I would definitely say helping him understand that it's not about age or gender. And the second thing is when it comes to therapists, the first one that you get, if you don't like them, if for whatever reason, go to the next. There are plenty of them out there. He
Yes.
doesn't. You're not stuck with that first one. Um, Therapists are like doctors. You may go to a doctor, you be like, I hate this bedside manner. You find another. You shop around until you find one that you like.
Right.
Um, if I'll offer my services, and I'm sure uh, if he just if he needs a mentor, and that may be what he needs starting out, a mentor. Just someone just for him to talk to, an older person for him to talk to, and if he's not ready for a therapist yet, Veronica, that's another just thought process that came up. He may need a mentor, and I offer my service, but I would dare say Rashad's probably a lot closer to his age than I am because I'm 47, Rashad's 28, and he's let's see, if I had to guess, if he's a freshman in college, he's 18, 19. So yeah, Rashad, I'm gonna say you you have the energy that he can relate to.
Right. Right.
Me on the other hand, I'd be like, well, talking like somebody granddad. But Veronica, anything that we can do, Rashad's gonna give me that information. I'll get it to you, and we're here to help. And that is why we do what we do. Um,
Right.
because at the end of the day, if we help one person, that's one more person that who can actually give. They may give that back at some point later in life. They may help
Yes.
someone else because we reach back and help them. Um,
Yeah. You're right about that.
you know, uh, we've had all we yeah I know I've had many people pour into my life in different manners and different ways, and so me doing this is part of me giving back. And my struggle is I felt it important for me to give back because all right, the Lord gave me that trial and tribulation for a reason.
Right.
And while I work on my purpose, and which this may very well be part of it, to help others, This is what we go do. We're gonna do our best to help people understand that your feelings are valid, whatever they may be, and there's somebody that'll listen,
Right.
and we'll get down there with you. We'll cry with you. We'll pray with you. I can't be on my knees too long. I'm old, but I say Indian style. But it's been a really great conversation. I would love to have you back again. I'll get with you offline to kind of see what your schedule looks like. Um, let's see. Pam says, right, there's no shame in reaching out for help. This is definitely a need to know in our communities, especially our males.
Yes.
Um, uh, One of the things, matter of fact, like kind of like you do your motivational videos throughout the week.
Right.
I typically drop one a week, and the last one I dropped was check on your strong friend,
Right.
and I challenge that strong friend to step outside their comfort zone and say, hey, look, this is how I'm feeling, because we all know that strong friend, they have weak moments too.
Yes.
And with that being said, and for everybody that's watching this that may be going through something, I'm challenging you to reach out to someone and say, hey, listen, that person that you know that you can go to, and they're not going to judge you. They're just going to hear you and say, I'll be there for you. And if you don't have somebody, DM me. I'll give you my number. I will listen. If I don't have the answers, I'll do my best to try to point you in the direction of someone who can help you. And I don't attempt to say I have all the answers. I probably got more questions than answers, but at the end of the day, my ears work, and I'll pray with you. I'll do everything that I can to help you understand that you are not alone. You have value, as Rasheed say, you matter.
Right. And just to follow up with you,
Mm-hmm.
even if you know a strong friend,
Mm-hmm.
you may not know if they're going through anything, but just reach out to them. Just say, hey, I'm proud of you.
Mm-hmm.
I love you. Keep your head up. And just I think we got to start giving people their flowers while they are able to enjoy them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't wait until that person is gone that we start giving flowers.
Right.
Because if you never know that random flower that you give them may be the thing they needed to keep pushing.
Right.
It may be the thing that they needed to say, you know what, all right, somebody do care. Because
Mm-hmm.
as a strong friend, your head is down. All you know is work, 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 grind, grind, grind.
Right.
And so for somebody to take their time out to say, hey, I see you, brother, I see you, sister, and I'm proud of you, that
Mm-hmm.
can do numbers. That can do something that'll change somebody's life for the better.
Right. Right. You are absolutely right. And I never thought about it from that standpoint, but giving that strong friend their flowers while they're here, because we often, I think the strong friend, people take them for granted. They just and you would be the epitome of that, because you are the person that's encouraging everybody else all the time.
Right.
And I have to stop right now and say, man, listen, I appreciate every video that you post, every encouraging word that you say. I appreciate all of it, because you know there have been a few that I've been like, yeah, I needed to hear that. I whatever I was going through, I needed to hear it. It helped uplift me, and I'm one of those that I'm always telling somebody else, hey, you good? It's gonna be all right. But even with that, so I definitely appreciate the work that you're doing. I'm immensely proud of you. Look forward to working with you in the future. If there's ever anything that I can do for you, feel free to let me know.
Yes, sir. Thank you, brother.
So, uh, with that being said, I always conclude each show with a prayer. Let's say I don't see any more comments. Raquel put her hands up. So thank you, Raquel. I hope that means you are enjoying what you're hearing today. Uh, so I'm going to ask you to do the prayer to take us out, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir. All right. So, if everybody bow their heads, Lord, we say thank you. We thank you for giving us the strength to get by, even when we didn't feel like we had the strength. I ask that you continue to bless BMAC in this show as he's doing work to help save lives. I ask that you bless each listener or follower today. Lord, we just thank you for just being great. We thank you for, making a way out of no way. We thank you for the clothes on our back and the food on our table. We thank you for the storms, for we know that those storms are going to help us become even better people. And for that, we say thank you. We ask that you continue to bless us, continue to keep us safe and healthy. And Lord, we thank you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Well, let's see. Selena says, check on your people. Rashad, you're an amazing young brother.
Thank you. Thank you.
Selena, I need you to send me a message too, because I know you've been away for a while, but send me a message. I need to check in with you, make sure you're doing good. That's my sister. She went to Talladega as well, so we go way back. That's one thing I will say about my Talladega College family. They support. They show up and show out.
Yes, sir.
Erica says, awesome show. Thank you, Erica. And Erica, I know is really proud of you too.
Thank you.
So, but with that being said, guys, thank y'all for tuning in. I appreciate you all as always. I love y'all. I look forward to seeing y'all next Sunday. And if there are topics that you'd like to hear us discuss, feel free to DM me. I don't have just a list of topics. I often brainstorm and try to find appropriate topics. And she said, I sure am. Love you, little brother.
Love you too, Erica.
But if there are topics that you guys would like to hear or like to see us discuss, feel free to DM me, send me a message, call me, and we'll work on getting it together. I'm gonna talk to Rasheed, see when we can get him back. Work within his schedule. Veronica, I'll be getting with you as well, because I think you have a lot to offer as well. And ultimately, I like to do a show with a couple of different people with y'all background on at one time, just to get those varying ideas.
Right.
I hadn't quite figured out which show I'd like to do that with, so that's something else that'll be coming in the future. So with that being said, I appreciate y'all. God bless y'all, and good night. Rashad, hold on just a second though.